And with that, I would now like to introduce Governor McKee, who I know is familiarizing himself with a lot of things very quickly and doing a spectacular job. And thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you, Congressman. And I recall being in your public safety building 15 years ago, talking about this very issue. And as you were mounting a gun buyback, I believe, at that time with then Congressman Kennedy. Right? So, yeah, I'm kind of here today not only to support what the senators are doing in Washington and our congressmen as well, but also to speak to the issues that are, happening over the last weekend in the state of Rhode Island, and concerned on that. But first, I just want to thank them for their leadership. The reason that we're here, and the reason that we're making sure that we're doing the preventative issues that need to be done is as a direct result of their leadership, and I really just want to thank them for that. And locally here in our state, being here today with the Nonviolence Institute, Cedric, with yourself, and it's not my first time here as well. The Attorney General is a champion on these very issues. The long-term thinking that needs to happen and that we're discussing today in terms of legislation and programs that support the people that live in our communities, but we also just cannot accept the violence as normal, and the violence that's happened in the city, in the state, is devastating to our families and to our local businesses and our neighborhoods. And that's why the legislation that our delegation is talking about here is so important to us, and timely in terms of why it's important to us. I did talk to one of the dads of a son that got shot this weekend. He's recovering through operation, but he had a 9-year-old. His 9-year-old grandson was standing next to him as the shots were fired. And now those young people are going to go through their own process in terms of dealing with it, right? Cedric, you know that as well as anyone here in this room. So, I say solutions because we need to identify these solutions and to the issues, not only short-term but also long-term. It means working with our congressional delegation to seek federal resources and taking action to prevent gun violence. It means expanding access to mentoring programs to give our young people opportunities to keep them out of criminal activity, and also means bringing community together and law enforcement leaders together to come up with ways to make communities safer. Everyone needs to have a seat at the table, and now this issue hits home to me as the governor, and been in conversations with the colonel over the weekend, with my chief of staff as a former chief of police as well, to talk about what is our plan right now to address what's happening right now in our state. So we need to make sure that we are working with young people. I did as a coach for many years, and I got to admit that some of the players on my team dealt with this issue. I would get phone calls from them and say, Mr. McKee, I'm going to a party this weekend and there's going to be a gun there, what should I do? At that time, those young men were in the 8th grade. So we know this hits home, it hits home to me. So investing in and supporting our young people and giving them opportunities to succeed is part of the solution. So we're committed to working with community members and leaders at every level of government to reduce this type of violence. As I said, we've had our state police superintendent, director of public safety, Colonel James Manning, speaking to him, and we're currently strategizing on what role the state can play in collaboration with the cities that are being impacted here, not only Providence, but also other communities as well. So together we can and must do more to keep our communities safe, and I'm here to pledge support for not only the work that's happening in DC, but also the work that is happening in our own state house in terms of curbing and addressing this issue, and then working with our municipal leaders, including the mayor, to address this not only on a long-term basis, but right now, currently, as we're reopening our economy, as we're reopening our state, as we're getting ourselves through this pandemic that has impacted so many people in so many ways. We need to make sure that everything happens that can keep our communities safe. And that's what I here to pledge to do as the governor. So thank you so much for all your leadership. And